Hey everyone, welcome to this week's video. So this week I wanted to talk about 10 things I think, from my opinion, every newborn photographer needs, whether you're starting or you have a business. So I really hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so the first most essential thing is obvious. You do need a camera. So that is a decision you need to make when starting a newborn photography business or becoming a photographer, is you need a camera. So I would highly suggest you invest in a camera so you don't always have to be upgrading your camera if you can. If you can't, work within your budget. So a thing you should be deciding between is either a full frame camera or a crop camera, and then deciding what lens you want. So usually in newborn photography, you can ask a lot of photographers. Everyone might have different lenses, but pretty much if you ask around, you'll find that they're very similar. Like for a 50mm, a 35, a 24-70. I use my 24 to 105mm zoom lens. You can use all sorts of lenses, but it is good to think about what you want to use and maybe buy the one or two lenses, or maybe just buy the one, and later on as you get more clients and obviously more income, you can go and buy your second lens. With the camera though, it's really important to always make sure, if your camera doesn't come with this, is to have a camera strap, because I know most photographers starting off new might buy a second-hand camera that's pre-used. So you want to make sure the camera has a camera strap, and you can buy these off eBay, Amazon, online, from anywhere. Any camera store sells them. So if you are buying a pre-loved camera, then you make sure it has the camera strap, or you go buy one. And usually the new cameras definitely come with the camera straps, and you want to make sure you adjust that before starting to use it, especially around newborns. The amount of times I've seen photographers, even with a camera strap attached to their camera, use it without having the camera strap on behind their neck and photograph a baby from the top, or be next to a baby, because the last thing you want is your heavy camera falling on that newborn and hurting them. Because trust me, it's something that you don't even want to think about happening, because you got to remember that's a newborn baby and the cameras are quite heavy. Okay, the other essential thing every newborn photographer should decide on or have is the lighting. So I use my natural light studio. As you can see, I have different types of lighting throughout the day. So during the morning it's good, after 1 it becomes a bit harsh, and then after that we start to lose light in here. So it depends when starting off, deciding what to use. The best way to go about it, I think, is natural light, because once you start to understand the natural light, then you can move on to studio lights or continuous lights or strobe or whatever it is you want to use. But understanding that actually gets you into the business and photographing newborns quicker, so that way you don't have to wait to invest in other lighting as well. So that's another thing you should be thinking about. Now the next thing is my absolute favorite, and you can either choose to buy one, or there's other places where you can use this essential, which is my baby shusher. So my baby shusher is like a white noise machine that lets out shushing noises. Now previously to that, I used to use an app called Sound Sleeper. You can find on the App Store. It's absolutely free. It finishes after 30 minutes and then you got to replay it. It's got a lot of noises there, including the womb noise, which is white noise. These days, if you go to baby stores, they sell little machines or toys that have white noise as well. But if you're just starting out, then make sure you go download that app if you can. It's called Sound Sleeper, or if you just Google white noise apps, free white noise apps on Google, it will direct you to any white noise apps that you can download for free. Now, a key to a successful newborn session is the temperature in the studio or the space you're shooting in. So it's really important to understand that newborns are better settled when they're nice and warm, they're not cold, and they tend to sleep better. This is why sometimes when you wrap a newborn, because they're all cuddled in and nice and warm, they tend to fall asleep after you've wrapped them. Another thing you should, and to actually get a warm space, obviously you need a heater. So in my studio, I have a air conditioning which lets out cold air and heat. Another thing, if it's during winter days, I pull out my foot heater, which I have next to me, next to where I'm posing the baby or undressing the baby, and that way it's close to them rather than relying on the heater that's on the wall. But usually once I have the heater on the wall, it's usually keeping the whole studio warm as well, so nice and toasty for the baby to keep calm. So you want to keep that in mind. To a successful newborn session, the baby must be warm. So I usually leave it at around anywhere between 23 to about 26 degrees is a good indication. Obviously on summer days, you don't need the heater, especially if there's a lot of light, like in my studio coming in. It's quite kind of warm, but I do test the heat that's inside. If I think the baby's quite cold or not settled, I will pull out the foot heater and put it next to me depending what I'm doing with the baby. All right, the next two things that you need are pretty much self-explanatory and that you should be using being a newborn photographer is sanitizer. So make sure in whatever you do between you know, wrapping the baby, posing the baby, after the baby's being changed, after you might grab a tissue and blow your nose during a session, make sure you wash your hands. If you can't, if you're out and about or you don't have a sink like I do here, depending on how, you know, how dirty your hands get, if you can, definitely wash them, then sanitize them. But make sure you always have the sanitizer next to you during a newborn session, and make sure you sanitize your hands. Even have it there for your client, so have one on the table for them to sanitize their hands, and that way you're not only being very hygienic and careful around the baby, you're actually also showing your clients that your main priority is the newborn health and safety as well. So the other thing along with the sanitizer is obviously anything to help you pose the baby. So I like to use my beans, I like to use my like face washers or towels, which are small and mini to use, and I use them, roll them to pose the baby. I also like to have different sizes of those as well, so depending what I'm doing. I usually use them for posing in a prop and on the beanbag as well, and there you can get them from any homeware store that they sell them in packs. The posing pillows you can find on eBay, Amazon, or any prop vendor sell them as well. The seventh most important thing I think that you need is obviously some sort of backdrop. So whether you're photographing babies in props, you need some sort of blankets or backdrops, a few just to get started. If you are photographing babies mostly on a beanbag, you need some sort of stand. I use the Easy Frame beanbag with the Perfect Posy, which I'll mention below this video. And you need some sort, but you don't have to start with those. You can start with anything that you feel comfortable with, but I highly suggest, just like a camera, you invest in something that you're going to use all the time as well. So the second last thing I think you need, which is also important. Now, all these that I've listed are super important. Don't take them by in what order I've listed them in. It's just for the sake of this video. But I really think that you also importantly need education, because I know we all go to school or university to learn a particular, you know, to learn to work in a particular industry. For instance, if you went to school or university and you learned photography, it's that's a good thing that you have that. If you don't know anything about photography, learn how to use a camera, learn your light, learn your settings, and then when you start newborn photography, also invest in your education, especially in understanding babies, understanding newborns, how to work with newborns. You know, if you're a mom, that's a bonus. I think you have more experience, why babies cry, why they do this, what happens, what do you do in this situation. But it's also important to understand how newborns are, and how to deal with them in different types of situations. It's really, really important. So you can do this by attending workshops. You can understand this by, you know, actually getting the experience. But before that, I really highly suggest you get some sort of education to help you, you know, work with newborns in future. This would be really ideal if you attend any in-person workshops. If you know, join like my newborn and photography business school, where I show you how to wrap a baby, pose a baby, what to do. I show, you know, we have even a training in there how to handle the baby safely, so you're avoiding any mistakes, and you know, baby is a top priority during every single newborn session. So invest in your education before you start going to pose a baby. You do not understand how many times I've seen photographers that are just started in the industry and are trying to do complex poses with babies. If you have not worked with babies over a couple of years and you understand how they are and how to do these poses and working with babies and wrapping them and posing them, whether just a simple pose in a prop or on a beanbag, please do not attempt, just for the sake of it, to have a good image, to do complex poses, because the last thing you want is to hurt the baby or make the baby uncomfortable. I want you to know that during every session, your top priority shouldn't be how the image looks like. It should be the safety of that baby. And last but definitely not least is patience. Please be patient with your work, with the development of your images, with the progress. Be patient with the newborns, be patient with your clients, be patient with even getting clients, because this is a journey. It doesn't have an ending. We're learning every single day, including me, including any photographer that's been in the industry for such a long time. Every day comes with its challenges, with its learning, learning curves, and you learn something every single day. So enjoy that, enjoy the process, and be patient with yourself, because you cannot compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter, say, 20. So it's really important to invest in your education and develop patience, because that's what you need becoming a newborn photographer. So I hope you enjoyed this week's blog. If you have any questions about what I've discussed here, or you'd like to let me know something, or that you want to ask me something, let me know in the comments below. I will answer them. If you have an idea for any video you'd like me to create, maybe something more specific about anything I've discussed here today, also let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you all next week for another video. Until then, take care.